So Google just entered the gaming space. It is of course GDC this week, and as part of that, Google just had a keynote, and during that they announced Google Stadia. Google Stadia is their brand new gaming platform, their streaming platform. It is not a physical console. You will not be going out and buying the next Google Stadia box. There is a controller, speak about that in a minute, but this is their online streaming platform. Now, yes, I'll be honest, I'm probably not the first person. In fact, you're probably watching this video being like, I've heard of game streaming services before, they don't work. I mean, you remember OnLive? Yeah, it didn't work out very well. But Google are no small company. They have a lot of infrastructure behind them, and you know what? I'm always one of those kind of people that goes into new things with an open mind. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna give it a try. Whether it works will of course remain to be seen, but what they did show off today during the conference was incredibly interesting. If all of this works, could actually be in for a rather interesting platform. So in this video, I thought I'd recap what exactly Google Stadia is for those of you guys that perhaps didn't see it. So if you do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think this is interesting? Is this something that, if it worked, would interest you? Or are you just like, I still want to go and kind of stick with my home consoles? Either way, let me know. And of course, if you haven't entered our giveaway for a chance to win a Pokemon Let's Go Nintendo Switch, the link to that is in the description box down below. Now, let's start with what is Google Stadia. Google Stadia, as mentioned, is Google's streaming service for games. It's launching in 2019, and they actually ran a test for this way back last year, in October last year. Some of you guys might have seen it if you paid attention to some of these sort of games media. They actually ran a thing called Google Stream, and they basically let players test out Assassin's Creed Odyssey running in 1080p, 60 FPS via a Google Chrome browser. This was essentially Google Stadia in its first state. This was a chance for people to test out what this system was going to be, and at the time there was actually quite a lot of positive reception, showing that people were really impressed with how it worked, how it ran, and just how much they were able to get out of it, because this was a full 1080p 60 FPS game running simply through a browser. No download, no patches, no nothing, just running like that. So that was essentially Stadia in its infancy. But how exactly does it work? Well, essentially Stadia is a massive collection of data centers. Just think like the Matrix level kind of data centers and servers, and just everything runs on that, everything is on that. And then when you use the service, when you connect to the games, you run through the data centers, which means when you jump into games, all the stuff is pre-patched, pre-downloaded, pre-done on the server. You literally click on it and you play it. The idea behind it, to kind of quote them, is to reduce the friction, to kind of remove the barriers and make it so that anyone can jump onto these games, so long as you have access to a Google platform, be that a browser through your PC. If you have a Chromecast, you can play it via your TV. If you have a Google phone, you can play it on that. If you have a tablet, anything that can essentially access the Google platform can play these games. So even if your PC is not powerful, in theory, you can play these games. Again, in theory being the most important term here, because right now we haven't had a chance to test it. This is of course what they are showing us. This is what they're saying they are going to do. Once it rolls out into everyone's houses and we can actually test it out for ourselves on a massive variety of different connections with people with, good connections, bad connections, then we'll truly see exactly how good it is. But in theory, that's how it works. Additionally, because of course it all runs via the data center, it also means you can then continue your state on different platforms. So you could then be at home playing, say, Assassin's Creed Odyssey on your PC in your browser, and you could then head out the house, pick it up on your phone, and continue that same state, because of course it's all stored on the data center. So it would then also allow for continuous play. However, on top of that, there are some rather interesting features they listed on top of just allowing you to play games, in your browser, because I appreciate, it's interesting technology, but if it was just that, people would be like, well, sounds kind of cool, but I've got my console, I've got my PC, I've got my handheld, I've got my device. Why do I need to play it elsewhere? So there are a few other kind of interesting things that might well appeal to people. The first one is simply going from watching to playing. Being a Google platform, they of course want to incorporate videos from YouTube and stuff all the way through to actually playing the games. And one of the things they showcased was you could physically be watching a brand new trailer for a video game that is out, and then below that you'll see a play button. You can then physically press the play button, and again, according to the presentation, assuming it works like this, within less than 5 seconds, you can go from watching that video to physically playing that game. You press the play button, it takes you into a browser, the game's already kind of patched and done with on the data center, so you don't have to download it, you don't have to patch it, you literally go and play. So if you're watching a video and you're like, yo, that looks kind of cool, apparently you just press play and you're in. You can then also use, existing devices you have. You can use existing controllers, Xbox controllers, PlayStation controllers. However, Google will also be releasing their own controller, which in truth looks kind of like a PS4 controller meets Nintendo Switch controller, kind of like they had a baby together, because that's basically what you got. It's got the sort of form factor of a Switch controller with the analog stick layout of a PS4 controller, and it does have a couple of additional buttons. Those buttons being a share button, where you can share your content, your clips, directly from your game to YouTube via the data center, so you won't need to have a PC in order to be able to record and upload your clips. You'll simply be able to push them to YouTube. And it also has a live help button, so if you get stuck and you want to walk through, you can then press that button, it'll then query, and Google will then try and pull up some results to help you where you are. There's also a built-in microphone on the controller, which you can then apparently use as well in conjunction with this help, and there's also a cheeky Easter egg on the bottom as well for those of you that were observant. On top of that, there's a couple of other really interesting features. First one is called State Share. Now this is a principle again, because everything is on the data center, the idea is that you can actually share physical moments and they can be replicated for other players. So let's say, for example, you're playing through a game and you get to like a really difficult boss battle and you nail it, and then you want to sort of share that with other people and not just say, hey, here's my video. You want to be like, yo, you actually try this. Supposedly, you can then share the physical state. The actual data center can then draw out that moment and then capture, the position you were in the game, the time of day, like your health, the world time, all the kind of stuff that essentially depicts that moment, and that can then be shared via a link. People then can click on it, they can then go physically into the game and into that exact moment, which will then allow people to relive that, and that way you could use that as, say, like challenges. You could set a challenge for someone, developers could set a challenge for someone, and they could be like, yo, this week's challenge is to do specifically this, not just like load up this level, literally go load into this specific moment and do it, which sounds pretty cool. Again, there's lots of potential for that, so interested to see if it does actually work, how developers would use that functionality. However, on top of that, there's also something called crowdplay, and this is really cool. This is sort of more so tuned for people that create content and people that want to get involved with that. So if someone is streaming on YouTube and you are, say, a fan of the person's content and you want to play with them, let's say they're playing a multiplayer game, there'll actually be the option to queue physically with them in that game. You can then press it, you can join it, and it basically becomes like a live lobby system, so you can then, once it's actually queued up, play with someone live on stream. So if you are sitting there in chat, you really want to get involved and you want to sort of like jump in and play with someone that you're watching, this will supposedly allow you to physically queue with them in real time and get involved, which again is a great system for community building, great system for kind of getting people involved. So that in itself sounds rather interesting. Now, supposedly at launch, this platform will also facilitate up to 4K 60 FPS HDR surround sound streaming, and in the future, apparently, it's going to go all the way to 8K 120 FPS. Obviously, they're not worried about that right now because 8K is not really a widely adopted format right now. But of course, factoring in that in the future that may well change, then that is something that the platform will scale to. So, in theory, that's what Stadia will be. Stadia is a game platform that allows you to play the latest games on any hardware, provided you have access to a Google platform. There will also be some first-party Stadia games. Stadia has actually set up a game studio, a first-party studio, so as well as being a platform where you can play third-party games on their system, they themselves can also start developing games on top. So hopefully see some rather interesting stuff from them, and of course with that launching later on this year, I'd imagine we might well see something more at E3, which could be pretty exciting. Right now there's not a lot more to say. There is of course an official website which you can go to register for some more information. You can follow them on Twitter. So of course, once we do find out more, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But that's basically where we are right now. So it's a lot of information, there's a lot of kind of dreams up there, there's a lot of sort of things that sound very cool. I'll be honest, I'm probably not the first person where when someone says to you game streaming service, you kind of roll your eyes and you're like, yeah, that's gonna work. Yeah, mate, cool, sure, I believe you. But that being said, I am, as mentioned at the beginning, also kind of like an open-minded person, and I kind of just want to sort of go into it and be like, you know what? I'll believe you, Google. If you can make this work, I'll check it out. So I'm kind of looking forward to when Stadia launches later in the year. Kind of looking forward to sort of testing it out, seeing how it works. If I genuinely can go from my TV to my mobile phone and continue playing my game, that would be awesome. But of course, in order to find that out, we just have to wait. So for the time being, that is your rundown of Stadia. That is Google Stadia. That's the new platform, and that is how Google plans to enter the gaming space. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think? Do you think it'll work? Do you think it is just another crazy idea? Let me know, and of course, keep it locked. Plenty more gaming content. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch 269 and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.